Hello and welcome to episode 0 of Let's Play Star Trek Judgement Rites, the sequel to Star Trek 25th Anniversary. This is just going to be a quick episode going over the manual to serve as an introduction to those who might be new to Star Trek and unfamiliar with it, as well as just to see what's different and to give everyone a glimpse of the star map. So with that, we can begin installation, getting started. Before taking command of the USS Enterprise, you must make some decisions that will affect gameplay. After the introduction, a dialog box will appear giving you the following options to choose from: New Game, Load Game, or Quit. So we actually get a main menu now. That's an improvement rather than in the 25th anniversary. I kind of edited it out, but it would always start a new game, and what you had to do was basically click through all the dialogue and then click on Kirk and Load Game once the battle with the Republic started. After selecting New Game, you can choose the level of gameplay: Federation Cadet, Academy Graduate, or Commissioned Officer. These levels determine the difficulty of the starship adversaries you may encounter while traveling in space. These levels only affect starship combat and have no effect in the actual ground or ship-based missions. Federation Cadet. This level is for players that are not interested in starship combat. Any combat that may be required for a mission scenario will be avoided. If you stray off course from a Starfleet Command assigned mission, any enemy ships encountered are easy to defeat. Academy Graduate. This level is for players who want simple starship combat. Any combat required for a mission scenario is easy. If you stray off course from a Starfleet Command assigned missions, any enemy ships encountered are at full strength. Commissioned Officer. This level is for players who want challenging starship combat. Any combat required for a mission scenario is full strength. If you stray off course from a Starfleet Command assigned missions, any enemy ships encountered are full strength. After making your selection, you are ready to take charge of the USS Enterprise and her crew. Good luck, Captain. So, Commissioned Officer was basically the only difficulty for 25th Anniversary, so we'll probably just continue with the Commissioned Officer. On board the Enterprise, Captain Kirk oversees control of the Starship Enterprise from its bridge. From here, you can issue commands to the crew, travel to and communicate with new worlds, and engage in potentially dangerous situations. Bridge crew members each have specific duties. By selecting the appropriate crew member, you can order that officer to execute a given task. The tasks each crew member can perform are listed below. So Kirk, we have the captain's log, transporter, and options menu, as always. So that just gives us the main menu. Spock gives us talk, computer, which we know from the last game. And he occupies the science station, of course. I like how Spock is trademarked. And we all know how very important the library computer is, as that's critical to some of these. Now, this is a new one, target analysis. Spock can also give you computer analysis on alien vessels during combat. Ship systems monitors will show damage information on the last ship you have fired on and hit. Remember that you cannot see damage information on the USS Enterprise while your target analysis is on, so be sure to turn it off occasionally to check on your own status. Okay, so it's not new, but it used to be at Sulu in the last game was the one handling target analysis. Scotty. Lieutenant Commander Scott sits at the engineering seat. Even Scott's trademarked. From there, he directs damage control in the ship's engines. If the USS Enterprise is damaged in combat, Scotty, trademark, will direct his damage control teams to make repairs on the ship's systems automatically. So once again, we can use damage control to fix, to concentrate repairs so that one thing gets fixed faster. Likewise, he can give us emergency power, which helps us if our nacelles get hit. Lieutenant Uhura is the communications officer. And as expected, a communications officer, she handles communications. Here we go. Sulu. Lieutenant Sulu is the ship's helmsman, and he will handle impulse, orbit, and shields. So impulse is just how fast we go in normal space. We can only beam down the planets that were in orbit, pretty standard Star Trek stuff, and then shields, which will use to protect us against attack, just as before. Ooh, okay, so that's new. So now Sulu can give us the main difference from the last game is it looks like Sulu can give us main view screen controls. Selecting Sulu's view screen icon will bring up its icon group. These icons are magnification, direction, and full screen. Magnification. Sulu can control the view screen magnification from 1x to 5x. Direction, so you can select 6 views from Starship Enterprise: 4 aft, port, starboard, above, and below. Each of these views allow you to keep track of enemy positions relative to the Starship Enterprise. Full screen, this makes the view screen fill the entire screen. Oops. If you have a slower computer, you may not wish to use this option. So that's interesting, that we actually have some view screen controls. I don't know how much we'll use them, but it's nice that they're there. And specifically, direction will certainly require me to memorize the hotkeys. Chekhov. Ensign Chekhov is navigator and weapons officer. I thought Sulu was navigation. Oh, helmsman. But whatever. So selecting navigation brings up the star map, which of course we use to get from one system to another. Chekhov also controls the ship's phasers and photon torpedoes. By selecting the weapons icon, he will activate or deactivate the ship's phasers and photon torpedo systems. He can't fire until they're armed. And weapons lock, this is a new one. Chekhov can initiate weapons lock. After activating weapons lock, one of the ships on the view screen will have a yellow targeting square on it. This is only valid when a target is on the view screen. If the target is off the view screen, the weapons lock will not track it. Note that target lock does not guarantee a hit. The faster an opponent is moving and the further away it is, the less accurate the system will be. So that lets us, basically it gives you a slight auto aim, I think, based on the description there. And we can see from here, our bridge is the same. We have the 6 shield segments: top, bottom, forward, aft, port, and starboard. Once again, the bridge takes the handles the control systems. The sensor array basically represents our view screen. Hull is just our general hull damage. Phasers, of course, is our primary energy weapons. Photon torpedoes are secondary weapons. And they have a nice little diagram there. The ship position monitor, which is basically the radar, which of course is vital for ship combat. And then we of course still have the warp and impulse engines generating power, and the power status monitor showing how much power we have. Power allocation. Power allocation is optimized by the ship's computers. Secondary to life support, shields have top priority and will always be charged as long as power is available. When weapons are armed, they have second priority on power. Phasers draw a fair amount of power to charge, but requirements are low once they are fully charged. Photon torpedoes have low power requirements. Whatever power is left over is available for movement. As long as the engines aren't damaged, the Enterprise has power to go top speed and arm weapons and shields. Power lost to damage slows the ship down. Further damage can bring the ship to a halt and then prevent the phasers from having enough power to charge. The destruction of the USS Enterprise will probably soon fall. So what this is basically saying is what we knew from the last game, where with less power, things take longer, we move slower, that sort of stuff. Ship movement. You can toggle between direction control and cruise selection by pressing tab. Okay, so that's basically telling you how to switch to your view screen. And then, of course, we have speed, which goes from 0 is top speed, 1 is dead stop, and then the tilde gives us reverse. And now this is new, I think, is it actually gives us information about some of our opposition. So, aside from combat exercises with other Federation heavy cruisers, there are several alien cultures that may oppose you. Klingon battle cruiser. Klingon Empire is an aggressive culture that extols warrior values. The Klingons follow the ways of the legendary warrior Kahless, who centuries ago taught the Klingons the merits of honor and fighting prowess, but many Klingon warriors have proven to be more guileful than honorable. Klingon Federation neutral zone was established by the Organian Peace Treaty. Disputed planets within that neutral zone, and there are many, are open to competition between the two cultures, who must prove themselves to be the most capable of developing that planet's resources. This has led to an intense rivalry between the Federation and the Klingons over influence in the neutral zone. Federation has accused the Klingons of numerous treaty violations and attacks on Federation ships. Klingon Empire has accused the Federation of systematically strangling trade and attempting to interfere in their natural development. Outright war is prevented by the Organian Peace Treaty, but Klingon encroachment into the neutral zone has been recorded. Federation captains must be very careful when encountering Klingons. Klingon captains will not hesitate to fire when it is in their best interest or when they believe they can gain personal glory. Armed with disruptors and torpedoes, Klingon vessels are similar in speed and maneuverability to the USS Enterprise. Klingon heavy cruiser's single photon torpedo mount gives them slightly less firepower than a Federation Constitution-class starship, but facing two of these cruisers would be extremely dangerous. Romulan Warbird. Little is known of the origin of the Romulan race, except that they are an aggressive offshoot of the Federation's Vulcan culture, which is located near the Federation Klingon neutral zone. The Romulans fought an inconclusive but exceedingly fierce war against the Federation a century ago. A neutral zone agreed by treaty separates the two societies. Neither race is permitted to enter this neutral zone, but violations on both sides have occurred. As mentioned earlier, Romulans are of the same genetic stock as Vulcans, but do not believe in the Vulcan values of peace and logic. Their ships usually fight to the death. They rarely take prisoners, and if defeated, they will self-destruct instead of surrender. Romulan ships are slow and maneuver poorly, but they have two advantages. First, they have an extremely powerful plasma torpedo that is the most destructive weapon known to be carried by any starship currently in service. Secondly, they have a cloaking device that renders their ships very difficult to detect in combat, both visually and with the standard complement of ship sensors. This cloaking device requires a lot of energy. Romulans cannot fire their weapons when the cloaking device is activated. Warning. Following a recent alliance of convenience, the Romulans have acquired some Klingon battlecruisers which have been retrofitted with cloaking devices. Federation intelligence believes that the Klingons may be encouraging the Romulans to fight a proxy war against the Federation. Given this delicate situation, the importance of not violating Romulan space cannot be overstated. Alasi Pirates. Given the vastness of interstellar space, Federation starships are incapable of patrolling all sectors as heavily as required. Too often, pirates emerge in these lightly patrolled sectors. The Alasi are but the latest in a long line of pirates to plague the Federation space. So here we have the star map, and just out of curiosity... Okay, yeah, so... This is different than... This is actually a different star map completely from the one from the last game. The planet names are different, the star arrangements are different. So once again, they give us 20 planets, and we'll visit not even half of these. This is basically the game's version of DRM. The idea being that for each mission, they tell you to go to a system, and you would have to have the manual to know which system to go to, and then if you went to the wrong system, it basically ambushes you with a bunch of enemy ships that are supposed to destroy you. So, but like a lot of systems like this, you can obviously brute force it as long as you save before you go anywhere. But fortunately, we don't have to do that. Then continuing on from before, the Alasi are renegade clans from the planet Manalvagor that prey on shipping for the most part. Their bolder leaders work to undermine the Federation and have made alliances with Federation enemies such as certain segments of the Romulan Empire. The Alasi frigate is believed to be an altered version of early Klingon battlecruisers, though the Klingons deny the connection. The Alasi were most recently allied with the renegaded Dr. Ice Burdell of the Vardane Technocracy. Dr. Burdell's attempts to duplicate Federation Constitution-class technology was started by the intervention of the USS Enterprise. Alasi Storm-class frigates are small but very maneuverable and are armed with a variety of defensive systems. One-on-one, they are a match for older Federation light cruisers, and even two Alasi frigates can threaten a Constitution-class ship. The resource base of the Alasi Renegades is unknown, but Federation intelligence and Starfleet are actively working to defeat this newest menace to Federation security. Then we get into the ground portion of the game. So again, we still have the command icons menu, walking around. Let's read this little section. When transporting to a planet or other starship, Captain Kirk leads the landing party. He can be accompanied by various personnel, including Mr. Spock, Dr. McCoy, Lieutenant Uhura, Ensign Chekhov, Lieutenant Sulu, and Commander Scotty. Be warned, situations can be dangerous. If Kirk or any other landing party member is killed by your actions, the game is over. Usually there is some kind of warning placed within the game. You don't have to learn by dying, but you can die. You can still talk to people, look, use, get. We can use our inventory. The equipment seems to be the same. We have stun and full power phasers, signs and medical tricorders, a medical kit, and a communicator. The adventure. The scenarios. Each scenario will begin with a mission assignment from Starfleet Command. You may face interference from other starships. After completion of the mission, Starfleet will evaluate your performance. There are multiple scenario outcomes, some not as optimal as others, so be sure to save the game at the start of each scenario if you want to experiment. Starfleet Review. The better you do in a given mission, the higher the rating Starfleet will give you. Solving puzzles, aiding others, and behaving like a representative of Starfleet is the key to a high rating. Violence never helps your rating and may actually hurt it. After the final mission in the game, Starfleet will give you an overall rating for all the missions combined. In game terms, this is your score. Commendation points are awarded based on your rating from Starfleet. These reflect the increased experience and morale of your bridge officers and will result in increased efficiency of their duties on board the Enterprise. Mr. Sulu maneuvers the ship quicker, Mr. Scott coaxes more emergency power from the engines, etc. And that sounds like the same system we had last time. Although that makes me think for that last battle how we would have fared if we hadn't gotten all the commendation points, because that was pretty hard as it was. The ship. USS Enterprise. The ship is almost 1,000 feet long and carries a crew of over 400. The main saucer section houses the crew quarters and scientific research areas. The lower section is the engineering area and houses the main sensor array. The two cylindrical pods are the warp drive engines and must be isolated from the rest of the ship because of the powerful energy fields that emanate from them. So, now it gives a tutorial walkthrough for probably the first mission, but we aren't going to read that, so we're just going to skip over that. To the profiles here. Profiles. Captain James T. Kirk. Kirk is the current captain of the USS Enterprise in its 4th year of a 5-year mission in space. He is the youngest Academy graduate to be assigned as a starship captain. Idealist, he drives himself hard and is decisive, but listens thoughtfully to his crew. Commander Spock. The ship's science officer. He is considered the finest first officer in Starfleet. Spock is half human and half Vulcan. He adheres to the Vulcan discipline of logic, which seeks to control emotion. He is intensely loyal to the captain, implacable in the face of danger, and has a razor-sharp mind. Lieutenant Commander Leonard Bones McCoy. Dr. McCoy is a senior ship surgeon in the USS Enterprise and head of the medical department. Outspoken and cynical, he delights in battles of wit with Spock. He represents the reverse side of Spock's unemotionalism. For all their verbal sparring, he actually seems to like the Vulcan first officer. Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scotty Scott. The ever-resourceful chief engineer, the third in command, he assumes charge of the vessel when Kirk and Spock are not on board. He delights in his engineering and views the Starship Enterprise as his own. Scotty worked his way up through the ranks through sheer love of engineering. Lieutenant Hikaru Sulu. The ship's helmsman, he is the model of an efficient officer and never needs to be given the same order twice. Sulu is an excellent swordsman and has been known to fancy himself as a modern-day the Atongan? Something like that. I don't know how to pronounce that. Lieutenant Uhura. She is the ship's communication officer. In Swahili, her name means freedom. Uhura is a native of the United States of Africa. She delights in singing during her off hours and is an expert in communications when on duty. Ensign Pavel Chekhov. The ship's navigation officer, he is raw material waiting to be honed by Kirk. Reliable but brash and inexperienced, the USS Enterprise is his first space assignment. Chekhov was born in Russia. And then there's the credits. Limited warranty. Customer support. Ooh. Worldwide website with a Netscape browser. God, I haven't seen one of those in years. Well, not even years. Over a decade. Oh man, that was such a long time ago. But in any case, that is the manual for Star Trek 25th anniversary now. Star Trek Judgement Rites. And next time you can look forward as we begin the series properly with our first episode of the game. So thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and we'll see you then.